Welcome to the Win, Make, Give podcast, a Ben Kinney training production, where we discuss the concepts of health, wealth, leadership, and legacy. My name is Chad Hyams, and, well, I'm not joined today by Bob Stewart as he's social distancing himself and keeping himself secluded at home, although I do have with me Ben Kinney. Ben, say hello to everybody.
Hey, everybody.
All right. So, Ben, we have decided to get together and still record in the conditions that are going on out there right now. We are sitting more than 6 feet from each other, so we're pretty good here, as is Dave, our audio guy. Yet, Ben, we have a very different world going on out there right now. So let me just ask you this. What would be the word you would use to describe the current environment we are in right now?
You know, Chad, I've been asked to try to minimize swearing on this podcast, which is a new thing for me, but this is freaking chaos. This is a serious situation, Chad, and it's going to have massive impacts. But here's what I bet. I bet that we're going to come out stronger if we can find a way to adapt and we can find a way to survive. In some of our years, it's about thriving and growth, but some years are just about survival. This year, success is survival.
Okay, so I know we usually have an idea where we might want to go through the conversation, yet I'm going to go right off script and throw a question right here at you, Ben. We had a big shift that happened back in 2006, 7, 8, depending where you lived in the country. Tell me a little bit about, do you think this is the exact same thing? Because we went into survival mode then as well. Or is this a completely different type of shift as we're experiencing this chaos right now?
You know, a lot of people, if they're in our demographic, have been through a couple chaotic times in their life, whether it was
9/11.
9/11, the dot-com bust, the economic crisis of 2008, and then now in 2020, you know, the coronavirus and the oil being sold and the stock market crash. And these are truly chaotic times, and it feels different. It has a different feel to it. I've never seen the eerie effects that I see as I walk through my small town and I hear the chatter and the messages and the fear and the worry and the concern and the media all coming together, Chad. This feels different to me.
Okay, so Ben, we got effing chaos, as you put it, going on out there right now. What do you think people, business owners, what do you think leaders, what do you think we need to do about this? What's your take on this situation?
Well, I think we have three priorities right now. Number one, we got to stay healthy. We have to protect ourselves, our family, our friends, our community. That's our first priority. And that's obviously that's number one, Chad. Number two, we got to Number two, we have to take action. We have to take action at home, maybe preparing our home for a place to work. We have to take action at work, reducing expenses or pivoting our business. We have to take action with our family, prepare to be at home with our spouses and our kids, and we need to take action in our community. There's people out there that need things and are going to need stuff and won't have access to things because they're too afraid to go out or economically they can't afford it now. And now's a great time for us to take action. And lastly, Chad, we got to look for opportunities. You know, the greatest opportunities show up at the most dismal times.
Sure.
Warren Buffett said the greatest distributions of wealth happen in down markets, not up markets. And there will be opportunities, but those opportunities will only be available to those of us that can stay healthy, protect ourselves and our families, and those of us that take action at home, at work, in our community.
Okay, so Ben, let's jump to these three priorities first. Let's talk about them in a little bit more detail. Staying healthy. Give me 2 or 3 things you're doing that everybody listening should be doing as well in the world of staying healthy today.
Well, I think it's the obvious things we're hearing on the media.
Sure.
Keeping our distance, washing our hands, don't make unnecessary trips, right? Just trying to be smart, and that's most important.
I'm hearing a lot of people talk about the power of sleep right now, making sure we're getting those 6 hours or those 8 hours. In your world, 6 hours would be sleeping in, but 8 hours for most people out there, and drinking enough water. They're talking a lot about that and making sure we're getting that gallon or at least half our body weight in water to keep flushing the system. So we've got some staying healthy. What about taking action? You mentioned priority number 2 was taking action, Ben. So I got to prepare my house to work from my house. I got to prepare to live with my spouse 24 hours a day. I got to prepare to live with my kids 24 hours a day for many people out there. What are 2 or 3 things you can give them as a tip, quick and easy, for being able to survive that?
I remember our friend Jay Papazan talked about building a bunker. Building a bunker at work where you can't be disrupted so you can focus, right? Even building a bunker at home. What that means is, do you have food, water, right? Distraction-free environment so that we can focus on the most important priorities. And even if we're locked at home, we're gonna have to find that space. When I perusing the internet the other day, I found some pretty funny ways that people have set up desks and separated themselves from other individuals, right? I'd say number 1, Chad, is we got to go out there and we got to make a bunker.
Okay, so building a bunker at home. And I'm going to tell everybody out there, my suggestion, since we're homeschooling a lot of our children, recess and gym class, really important. Make sure you're still running the energy out of your kids somehow, whether it's through the house or outside. Taking action at home. And then, Ben, you don't have a crystal ball. You can't tell me what opportunities are going to be there. Yet, what is someone like you looking at as you're staying healthy, as you're taking action? What opportunities, even though you can't predict them, are you keeping your eyes open thinking might be out there we should be watching for?
I think opportunities come in a variety of packages, whether that's opportunities for us to pivot our business, opportunities for us to get into business with people that have never been recruitable or never been attainable in your world, opportunity for you to find new businesses or new investments or new pieces of real estate or opportunities to invest in the stock market as it starts to climb back up. There will be opportunities if you're prepared financially, physically, and mentally to take advantage of them.
That's great. I mean, we heard the rumor, right, of Apple possibly taking Disney. I mean, that's an opportunity that would change a whole bunch of things. So yes, keeping our eyes open for that. All right, Ben, so we've got the 3 priorities you've kind of put out there that people need to be ready with, be prepared for as we're going into this. What's the first thing, though, we should all really be doing right now just to know which way to move?
Well, we need to have a reality check. And it's a funny thing to say, but you need to know where you're at, where you're standing, what's going on, what condition you, your finances, your business, everything is in. And you're going to have to do this on a regular basis. So I came up with some questions that I've been thinking about that I need to ask myself on a regular basis so I can truly have a reality check of how this situation is proceeding or progressing.
Okay, so let's go through these. I mean, if they're good enough for you, they're something everybody out there wants to hear. So Ben, give me question number 1.
Is this going to get worse?
Oh, okay.
And it depends where you're at in the world and what's going on. In our situation today, it's going to get worse. It's going to be bad before it gets good. Are you prepared for that mentally, financially, and physically? I had to ask myself the question. My response was absolutely. The next question, Chad, is how is this going to affect me or the people in my household or the people in my business, and what can I do about it? How is this actually going to affect them financially and physically? Now, what's the economic impact of this situation? How is this going to affect my business, my household, personal finances, my community, my friends, and my customers? Next, how long is this going to last? Right? We already figured out that this is going to get worse. But even if it doesn't get worse, how long is it going to last? One of the biggest mistakes that we can make is being overly optimistic about the situation that we're in. I believe at today's date that this is going to last for months and months. And many times when you get into situations of chaos, you have to understand that this is going to take longer than you ever thought. Therefore, it helps you prepare. Next, is this a snow day? What do you do on a snow day, Chad?
Well, I hate the snow, so I go to work. But most people take a day off, stay in their pajamas, drink a bottle of something, and don't do anything.
Oh, we make snow angels and snowmen, and we have snowball fights, and we don't work. This is not a snow day. In this situation of chaos, it's not a snow day. This is going to last for a while. You don't see people in Minnesota or in the far northern Canada, right, taking a snow day every day.
That's right.
Because that's the reality that they're in. This is what I like to call, Chad, a season. A season is not a snow day. How long does a season last for?
3 months.
3 months, 4 months, 5 months. Football season, baseball season, the fall, the summer, the spring. It lasts for a while. In this situation of chaos, this is a season. Prepare for it. Do not treat it like a snow day. Now, last question that I asked, Chad, is how are leaders going to show up? Am I going to show up like a leader? Are people going to need me as a leader today? This is when leadership matters.
Okay, so I want to keep going on that thought, yet I want to make sure we all have these questions that we should be asking ourselves. And you're saying asking these every single day. This is not a one-time ask. This is ask every day, even though some of these questions, of course, will be obvious. Yet question one, is this going to get worse? And we know, yes, it has to get worse before it gets better. How will this affect me and the people in my world is what you're telling us to be looking at. What's the economic impact that's coming from this situation that we're in? How long do I believe this is going to last? And then is this a snow day? Which, of course, no, that's not even a question you have to ask yourself every day. It's a season. That's a great way to put this. This is absolutely a season.
Except for, Chad, people are treating it like it's a snow day.
They are.
They're treating it like it's a 1 week or 2 week piece of chaos, right? How long did the economic downturn, the financial downturn in 2008 take?
2 years?
Yeah, a couple of years before you saw a light at the end of the tunnel, right? Could this situation we're in today be that long?
Could be.
It could.
Sure.
We don't know.
Right.
That's the key. We don't know how long the season's going to last.
Right.
We just know it's not a snow day.
So there's no snow days. No more snow days. No more snow days. If you need to take a day so you don't go crazy through all of this, take a day. Yet you can't let every day be a snow day. And of course, we have to keep seeing how it's going to go. The last question you said is, how are leaders going to show up? So, Ben, we're here talking about leadership. That's one of the things we like to focus on. How are leaders going to show up?
I started asking myself the question, how do you lead through chaos? And that's been going through my mind nonstop. Well, you have to understand what the leader's job is in chaos. Number one, Chad, the leader's job is to take action, is to walk in to whatever situation they're in and not dwell on it and not postpone it, right, is to take action. If they take action quickly, they can dig themselves out of most bad situations. Okay. Failure to act, right, can be life-ending in health, in finances, in your business, etc. Number two, leaders work off the facts. Leaders focus on the data, and they're constantly searching for it. I've been reading over 100 articles a day from a variety of sources so that I can come up with my own perspective on the situation. Key thing, Chad, variety of sources.
Yes.
Focused on the data and the facts. I'm not being manipulated by the media or by my peers or by social media. I'm focused on the data so that I can make educated decisions for my personal situation and for my personal businesses.
That's a great point you're making, Ben, that it's a multiple sources you've got to get this information from. Because if I just went off Facebook, either the world is ending today or this thing's going to be over tomorrow, because there's complete extremes depending who I'm listening to. Same thing whichever news channel I decide to put on. All right, so keep going. What's next?
Leaders prepare for the worst. We're building bunkers. We're storing food, so to speak. Like we're preparing.
We're storing food, literally.
Yeah. We're preparing for the world to end because that's our job. Our job is to be prepared. Our job is to prepare our employees, our businesses, our families for the worst case scenario. Not act out of fear, but make preparations. Now, a leader's job is also to plan for the best. So we're going to prepare for the worst, but we're actually going to go plan for the best. As this thing evolves, as we work ourselves through whatever piece of chaos we're in, right? What's the best case scenario? What are we hoping the end is going to look like, right? How do we walk out of this with the ability, once we can touch each other again, to high five? Now, next, leaders assure other people. They make sure that you feel good about stuff. Leaders act calm. When everybody else is acting in fear and being chaotic, leaders act calm. They walk around giving other people confidence that things are going to be okay.
Not a false sense of security, just confidence.
Take action.
Right.
But if you do, we're going to be okay.
Okay.
Next, leaders don't judge. Especially in this situation here today, we're not going to judge those who want to stay home and stay safe and stay healthy, but we're also not going to judge those who want to show up to work and keep protecting their business and their livelihoods, as long as both parties can find a way to do it safely that does not affect or infect, as the case may be, others. We aren't going to put judgment on them.
Okay.
Now, leaders are empathetic, Chad. They have empathy for what's going on in the world and how it's actually affecting others.
All right. And before we jump into the conversation about empathy that you just brought up, let's go over some of these things that you believe, again, that leaders, if they're going to show up, here's how they're going to show up. One, they're going to take action, because not taking action is the same as taking bad action. I mean, you've got to take some sort of action. They're going to work off facts, data. They're going to make sure they have all the right information. They're going to prepare for the worst while planning for the best. So they know what best case and worst case scenario look like, and know that probably neither will come true. We'll probably end up in the middle there somewhere. They're going to assure others, bringing confidence. They're going to act calm, and they're not going to be judging what they're seeing going on around them. Okay. So the last one you brought up there was they're going to have empathy. Now, Ben, we just did a whole series where we covered empathy as one of the emotional intelligence pieces, and we got to dive into that. Yet, it's a different world we live in today than when we even just recorded that conversation. So talk to me, Ben. How important is empathy in today's world?
Empathy is our ability to understand other people's feelings, their makeup, and the situations that they're in. There's never been a time when the world demands more empathetic leaders to show up and say, I understand that you're scared. I understand that you're worried. I understand that you're afraid of failing or your business failing. I understand that financially you're stressed. I understand that you potentially are sick, right? Empathy is required right now in order for us to lead. Now is not the time to be a hammer. Now is the time to grab, except for you can't touch anybody, somebody's hand and walk with them through the chaos. Chad, we need to empathize with others, including our employees, our peers, our team members, our clients and our customers, our leads in our database, our community, our neighbors, our friends. There's never been a time when they need us more to sit back and say, I understand how you feel. I understand that you're afraid. I understand that you have doubts about our decisions. I understand that you're afraid of failure, or that you're struggling with your business, or you don't know how you're going to make payroll, or that you're afraid of getting sick, or you don't want to bring it home to your father or your mother or whatever. We need to make sure that we understand that. And with that, there's going to be a lot of voices from both sides giving us judgments and telling us what they think. Here's what I want you to know, Chad. The loud are not the majority. Think about that statement. The loud are not the majority. You're going to get the complainers. You're going to get the social media critiques. You're going to get the one or two employees in your world that are going to give you their opinion. They're going to be loud. The mistakes that we make is starting to believe that that is actually the consensus, that that is actually the majority. The loud are not the majority. The silent are the ones that you need to seek feedback from, that you need to go out there and figure out, how do they feel? What are they thinking? And pull advice out of them. There's a lot of wisdom in the silent crowd and a lot of noise from the loud.
And there is a lot of noise going on in the world right now. There's a lot of people getting up and yelling and screaming, getting on whatever platform they have, to be the loud. And what you're telling us here is that's not actually probably the majority voice. They're just the ones who are being louder than everybody else.
There's a vast majority of people that are going out and saying, you shouldn't be working right now. But I guarantee you, if their toilet broke, they'd call a plumber. If their power went out in their house, they call an electrician. They are so blessed that there's people at the pharmacy, that there's people at the grocery store, that there's an Uber Eats driver, and the restaurant is still making takeout Thai. Like, there's a lot of that, but there's also a lot of condemnation where people are condemning our choices, where others are saying, not only do I have to stay healthy, but I have to find a way to ensure the health of my business. And there is ways to do both. There's ways for life to go on, because this is not a snow day. This is a season. And the season requires our health to continue and our businesses. As long as we can do both safely, that should both be our priority.
What do you think, Ben, is the change we're going to see in the world through business, through health, through whichever category, that's going to come out of this for good? What do you think that big change will be? That we'll just be doing a lot more digital communication? That we will actually appreciate each other when we can get closer again? That big change.
Chaos creates efficiencies. Chaos forces businesses to operate with less, and for businesses to do more with less. At the end, this could make businesses more profitable, employees more productive, right? Families more efficient. There is some good that comes out of chaos. I think a lot more of us will be washing our hands, right? We'll be taking different considerations and thinking about things a little bit different if a scenario like this ever comes to be again.
Okay. So we've got a lot of people out there stressing about what's going on.
Yeah, and they think stress is bad.
Right. Is it? Is stress a bad thing?
Well, think about lifting weights. Chad, you're a big exerciser, right?
Sure.
When you're lifting weights, if you're to look with a microscope at your muscle fibers, what's actually happening is they're tearing.
Right.
And if you allow them to heal, what happens to those muscles?
They grow.
They grow. Not only do they repair themselves, they actually grow stronger. Right? What you learn from that is that stress is actually the stimulus for growth.
Say that again, Ben.
Stress is actually the stimulus for growth. It's not bad. It's that we don't actually manage to take breaks and to manage all areas of our lives so that stress actually becomes growth. I'd ask the people listening to our podcast, how are they going to grow during this season? How are we, Chad, going to take advantage of the next couple weeks or couple months or year and come out of this a much better version of ourselves? How do we grow from this? I'd say that our ability to grow from this stressful situation is going to be determined by our ability to manage four things.
Ooh, all right, here we go, another list. All right, Ben, give it to us.
The king of lists.
Number one, what's that thing we have to manage?
Our mindset.
Okay.
What do we think's actually happening? What do we think's possible? Can we manage our fear? Can we manage our optimism? Right? We have to manage all these things. We got to manage our mindset.
Okay.
Number two, our physical energy. During times like this, it's easy for us to sprint because we're running off adrenaline, or it's easy for us to move into bad life decisions, be it health or eating or not exercising or not sleeping or whatever those things might be. We got to find a way to manage our physical energy. Number three, we have to find a way to manage our priorities. Not everything is important. There can't be more than one first thing.
Right.
Number four, we have to manage our finances. You need to find a way to do more with less, to reduce unnecessary personal and business expenses quickly. If you do this, if you do these four things, managing your mindset, managing your physical energy, managing your priorities every day, and managing your money, you will come through this situation with growth. You will grow and become a better version of yourself. Your businesses will grow and become stronger, and it won't be easy.
Well, it's not supposed to be easy. If it were easy, everybody would do it and succeed at it. We know not everybody is going to.
Not everybody is willing to go through the stress that becomes the stimulus for growth.
What do you think the people who aren't willing to go through the stress are going through instead? They just hiding? Hoping it passes?
What is a good word? It's not coming to the top of my mind for like not acknowledging the current situation.
Denial?
Yeah, they're living in denial, right? Like an Egyptian. They're living in denial. And that's what happens. They don't take action fast enough to say, oh, everything's gonna be okay, don't worry about this, right?
Sure.
Or they completely withdraw and they say, oh, it's too late. We're all goners anyway.
Sure.
Right? They end up being like Eeyore. Lost my tail again today. Right? They either don't do anything because they've given up, or they act like they're in denial and they don't take the right action.
Okay.
What's important right now, Chad, is that we manage our mindset. We ask ourselves, do we believe that this will actually end? And when it does, how do we want to show up? What do we want our businesses to be like? What do we want our lives to be like? What do we want our finances to be like? What should the ending be the beginning of, Chad? When we get through this, whether it's in a couple weeks or a couple months or a year, what is that going to be the new beginning of?
And it could be a couple weeks. It could be a couple months. And then again, it could be a year or more that we're sitting in this situation.
It actually could be the new norm.
Sure.
And there'll be a point when we look up and we say, this all feels different. This is something new, and I'm ready to move forward. What do you want that to be the beginning of? And that's the question that I would like us to end with. As we prepare to go through times of chaos, how do you fill your funnel, Chad? How do you fill your funnel with new opportunities, with leads and customers, with things that you're going to do? So when the gates open up, so when the green light comes on, we're ready to have a new beginning, right? We're ready to relaunch our lives and our business and take advantage of the opportunities that are out there. That will only happen if we fill our funnel with leads and opportunities and things that, so when the lights turn green, it's go time.
Wow. I think we've given everybody a lot to think about right there, Ben. I think this is going to be one of those episodes I'm going to go back and listen to with all those lists in there for me to track all those questions that you're asking us to ask ourselves. These are things that we're going to all go back and have a look at. Appreciate you, being willing to come in, not judge anybody else, and get together and record this opportunity to share it with everybody as we're going through this situation. Wherever it is that you get your podcast from, make sure you're subscribing to the Win, Make, Give podcast. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't hesitate to visit winmakegivepodcast.com. Get yourself subscribed. And until then, stay healthy and remember, do good.